Right, what about this one?
Now we've got the dialogue. Your parent does not approve of one of your friends. You have decided to convince him or her that his friend is not a bad influence on you. Write out the dialogue that takes place between you and your parent.
So how many people are involved in this dialogue?
2 people.
Okay, now, doesn't approve of one of your friends.
Yes.
Okay, so now I want us to plan a little bit. So there's the parent, there is you. Right, Tandeka, do you have a friend that your parent might object to?
Yes.
Tell me about the friend.
So I can tell you that the friend likes to go out a lot, which is why parents don't like the person. They think that they are a bad influence.
But why? Going out, why does that make it a bad influence?
Because then they think that too much time is spent socializing as opposed to being at home, because as a girl,
yes,
you should not be out on the streets.
You're not exactly on the streets. You make it. No. Okay.
That's how they put it.
Oh,
parents.
girl, let's write it down. Not, and now we're going to quote it, on the streets. Remember, when you mind map, it's meant to be one word above and below the line, but I'm breaking that. Okay. So you're wasting time socializing. Are they also worried about wasting time and that you're not studying? Is that also part of it? So let's put not study. Okay. Now, we know that the education department wants a scenario. I hate the scenario. Let me be honest. I really do. I would use the topic for the scenario. So you go back to this. Just read it again for us.
Your parent does not approve of one of your friends. You have decided to convince him or her that this friend is not a bad influence on you.
So which parent? Mom, dad?
Mom. Let's say mom.
So I would say, my mother does not approve of one of my friends. I have decided to convince her that this friend is not a bad influence on me. I would simply take the topic and I would turn it into the scenario. Then you get it right and you please the examiner who wants the scenario. But I have a secret. I never read the scenario. No, really, I am not marking a scenario. I am marking a dialogue, and that's what I look at. All right, so now the problem is when I see it on the page, it's sometimes set out incorrectly. So how do I set it out?
So it's the name of the person who's speaking followed by a colon.
So what happens if I've got a stage direction like angry?
You would put that in brackets right after the name before the colon.
Okay, and then where do I put the next person?
The next line.
Okay, so you can either do it on the next line or remember, I'm an old person. I love a line open between. Tandeka's right though. Straight on the next line is absolutely fine. But for me, to make it easy for me to read, I'd like the line open. All right, and then you write it here. Now, what happens is I get something which I call very bitty. So it's mother me, mother me, mother me, mother me, mother me, mother me. And then the child counts 150 words and says, I've written a good dialogue. I don't like that. I think the mother might say something like, let's use this. A girl should not be on the streets. So have mother have quite something short. A girl, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 10 words. So a really sort of short one. And then what do you say to your mom when she says this to you?
I'm not on the streets.
Okay, go on. What else do you say?
I'm not on the streets. I'm just having fun with my friends.
Good. And so a short answer. Then allow the mother to explain in a little bit of detail what she's objecting to. So give the mom a few lines. Then give me a few lines. Now remember, the focus has got to be on the friend. Hey, don't forget.
Yes.
And then me, how do you defend your friend to your mom? Tell me.
My friend, shucks, what do I usually say to her?
Right, okay, you would plan it, okay? How would you defend your friend? Allow you a bit of space to speak and then end off again with something short from the two of them at the end. Why? Because you've got the rubric there. Won't you look at the rubric in terms of content? So I'm looking at the content. What are they wanting? Because we understand about the language and the style. We've got that. We understand correct English and worry about your audience and your purpose and so on.
Yeah.
But what are they looking for in the content?
Outstanding response beyond normal expectations, intelligent and mature ideas, extensive knowledge of features of the type of text.
That's the dialogue. We've shown that we know that, yes.
Writing maintains focus.
Yes, that means stick to the topic. You've explained that, yeah.
Coherence in content and ideas.
Yes, meaning?
So it must be connected. Your ideas must be connected.
Anything else?
Highly elaborated.
There's the word I was looking for. Yes, go on. And
all details support the topic.
Right. Now, what I am arguing is this. I can have an outstanding response. I've got mature ideas. I've explained that this friend is, I don't know, something mature and intelligent. I can't think. But I've done all that. But where's the elaborated? Elaborated is developed, expanded. All the details. What details if you go, Tandeka, you must stay at home. Why, Mommy? Because I'm tired of you being on the streets. What do you mean on the streets? I'm not on the streets. Yes, you are on the streets. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Right.
Yeah.
And so what else do you object to, Mommy? I object to your friend. Why? He's not good for you. Why? He takes you out at night. You're on the streets. You said that before. I know I did. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where's all the details? Where's the elaboration? Give yourself a little space to expand. You've only got 120 to 150 words. But just do a little bit more. It doesn't have to be long, just a little bit more detail. Not this bitty toing and froing.
And it's unnatural.
Yeah, and
you don't speak like that.
No, you don't. Unless you're having well, even in a row, don't you sometimes just
explain where you're coming from?
Exactly. So that's what I want us to look at. And this rubric is true for the longer and the shorter transactional. So think about your ideas. They must be mature and intelligent, and it must be elaborated and with details. Now, look, why I object to the dialogue is I have a colleague who's getting crosser and crosser about some of the writing you guys have to do. And she said, and I am now going to ask you, have you ever written a dialogue or written an interview in your life?
No.
Do you think you ever will?
No.
No. This is completely unreal. And my colleague is saying, writing a letter to the press, that is something you actually should know how to do. Writing a report, that's definitely something you should know how to do. But a dialogue, I've never written a dialogue except to show my students how dialogue should be written in my life. And an interview, you don't write an interview. You prepare for an interview, but you don't write it down. Good afternoon, Tandeka. How are you?
Good afternoon, Janet. I'm good. How are you?
Would you like to sit down?
Yes, thank you.
Would you like a cup of coffee? Now, come on. You don't write this down. And so this isn't something that you're going to practice for life skills. And I see that. I know how to make this sound better, but I would still rather go with the other two. Okay.
We haven't spoken much about editing.
True.
And editing is the second criteria that you find in the rubric. So the language style and editing, which are for 12 marks. When we talk about editing, you've basically written your dialogue, is it? Or whichever transactional, whatever text you've written.
Yeah.
But now you actually need to go back and look at what needs to be fixed. So you may have made a mistake here or there, you may have missed a word, you may have misspelled something, or the grammar may have been off in one of your sentences or one or two of them. But the point is that you need to make sure that you identify these and fix them, because when you get the final mark, then it'll show that you've actually gone back and read that. People make mistakes all the time. This is very natural, but you have to go back and actually rectify or fix those.
I also would like you to look at beyond the mistakes, which is for me is closer to proofreading. And I agree with you, you can't make silly mistakes. But I actually want you to look at your piece. So let's say you've written these 2 paragraphs. Let's say this is the report. And you realize, hang on, I've got a whole lot of stuff here about I was in the shop, I was going to buy cold drinks, my granny had sent me for some milk and a loaf of bread. And you realize, hang on, that's irrelevant. So you're going to cut that, but then now it's going to be too short. Okay, so what am I going to put in instead? So I need to think, all right, this man, I just said I saw him picking up the soap. I tell you what, I could actually describe him. And let's do the cliche, the stereotype. He's got a hoodie.
Yes.
So, you know, we could describe him. So this for me is editing. It's actually saying this bit here belongs over there.
Yes.
This bit should come out altogether. This has got to be expanded. Let me write a few more sentences. So the editing is making sure that you have fulfilled all the criteria of the rubric, and you've thought about your gaps, and you've done all of that as well. Oh, and you said the importance of going back to the topic to make sure you've absolutely covered the topic. So this is what editing is about. And you've got, what did they say, 40 minutes for this section?
Yes.
40 minutes to write 10 lines. To write 120 words. That's plenty of time to go back and fix it, but not fix just the little things, to fix it big time. All right, shall we move on to, oh no, what we haven't talked about is all the other kinds of transactional. So we don't have time to do that, but can I say to you, I think there are about 20 different kinds of transactional writing. If you think of a letter of complaint as a formal letter of complaint and an informal letter of complaint, and I count that as 2, then you've got loads and loads of transactional writing. What do you have to do? Practice, practice, practice. So you need to write, let's say, a very formal letter of complaint to somebody you've never met, a formal letter of complaint, let's say, to your teacher or your principal, and then an informal letter of complaint to your neighbor, whom you know, to say, hi, how are you, how's your day been? And then an informal letter of complaint to Tandeka, who's your friend. So they're actually 4. And do you see, with the gaps, the genre is the letter of complaint, but the audience keeps changing because it's the relationship between you and the person you are writing to. So your purpose is to complain, fair enough, same purpose, but because the audience keeps shifting, so does the style. So I'm just urging you, go and look at the guidelines document for 2015, see if it's been updated. Make sure that you go over all those kinds of longer transactional writing and practice every single one. Look for examples on the net, ask your friends for examples, practice, read,